What's up, Star People? Welcome. So I'm just gonna sit here and look at the camera. Okay, so it's Friday night. It's 11:11. Do you know where your Stellar Trilogy book 3 is? I do. I got it. All right, so we're on chapter 14 and chapter 15. Yes, that's where we are. And my printer works today, so I have my pages, and we're gonna. I said we're gonna do 14 and 15 today. And so last night, chapter 13 is what we were doing. Hey, Wayne, welcome. What happened in chapter 13? What had happened? See, I didn't do my recaps. My recaps help me to recap. You ever feel like totally discombobulated? Like you're doing too much? That's me. So, chapter 13. Kai went to the office. Kai got dressed in her fall finest, and she went to Lara and her husband's office, and she found out that her husband took a last name and didn't tell her. So, So, okay. So, her husband took a last name, didn't tell her. The last name is Magi. And that, my friends, is a reference from, is it from the end of book 1? It was a reference from the end of book 2. And the reason why she reacted the way that she did is because of that. And if you haven't read book 2, then you wouldn't know that was a clue of something. What else happened? So she met Ime, the lady that channeled through her daughter, Kaitu. She woke up from her little breakdown and she was great. So it worked out. I know it's Friday night, and so I'm not expecting, the full caboodle today. But whoever joins. I'm going to stall for a little while longer. This is the tap dance. But welcome, Wayne. You're multitasking, watching the Olympics. Yeah, well done. What sports are you watching? What's your thing? What's your bag? So, I'm going to give it like one more minute, and then we're going to get into chapter 4. It's kind of long, but we're starting to get to the heart of some things. I felt like the first several chapters were setups. The first, 13 chapters, 12 chapters or so were setups, and so now we're kind of getting into the meat of the story. We're understanding where Kai is in this now. And forgive me, I'm kind of tired today. Today was a weird day. The last few days have been weird. But we rocking it. All right, so if we're ready, chapter 14, Les Jardins de la Vie. That's the name of this chapter. Chacun voit midi à sa porte. That's French for everyone sees noon at his doorstep. And no one knows who wrote that. Kai felt flush with everything she didn't want to feel. Vulnerability, mostly. She was breathing heavy as she looked around the natural light-filled room. Oh, and so the last chapter, they ended up in this restaurant that they had decided they were going. So what had happened was Kai looked into Ime's gown. I guess trepidation was happening, like what's going to happen here. She looked into Ime's gown, and then the next thing they knew, they were in this restaurant. And so that's why we're here. Kai felt flush with everything she didn't want to feel. Vulnerability, mostly. She was breathing heavy as she looked around the natural light-filled room. It didn't take long for her to notice the crystalline twinkling that spectacularly took over the space as the light streamed in from the ample windows and bounced from gorgeously set tables in the fashion of the style. The inside of the restaurant was relatively small. There were only a few dozen tables, but that didn't keep the room from feeling vast and otherworldly. Tapestries of bright colors adorned the walls. The room seemed to want to breathe with her as she tried desperately to compose herself. Even her most valiant attempts at deep breathing didn't make her feel better. With every twinkling of the tables around her and every clinking of the crystal plates and glasses the other 20 or so patrons were enjoying, she didn't feel better. She felt confused. The last thing she remembered was closing her eyes and stepping toward Ime's gown. When she opened her eyes, she was sitting in a restaurant she had never been. She had expected to see something she didn't want to see, anything that would give her away or hurt her pride or embarrass her terribly about her choices. She was supposed to face herself. That's what Ime had said. So why was she at a restaurant with both of the people she trusted the least? Even with the spectacular smells wafting through the place, and the sight of the freshest, most colorfully beautiful foods she saw being carried on crystal plates to smiling patrons, Kai was stuck. She was stuck staring at her husband, who was engaged in a conversation with Lara that she hadn't been paying attention to. Her head felt hot. How could they just carry on with chit-chat? Didn't they notice anything was off? What happened in that office that brought us here? Kai interrupted. They both looked at her strangely. What do you mean? Lara said. We walked here. Sure, but how? I was like allergic to the air on the way to your office. Did I have some trouble on our walk here? Not that I was made aware, Jasper I added. You seemed to enjoy the stroll. How do you know? What did we talk about? I do not recall. How long ago did we arrive? We were only just seated a moment ago. How long did it take for us to get here? Several minutes. Why are you asking such questions, Kai? You were with us, were you not? If we only just arrived a moment ago, how could you forget what we talked about on the way here? I don't remember talking to either of you. I don't remember the route. I don't even remember leaving your office. How is that possible? Both Lara and Jasper looked at each other with great interest. Then back at Kai. That is strange, is it not? Jasper said. I do remember walking here. Or maybe I just assumed we walked here. I don't remember talking about anything, but I have this faint impression that we did talk about something. How did we get here? He asked, looking at Lara squarely. Lara's look of strangeness morphed into another sort of face. She looked petrified. Her very first reaction was a sound one. She reached for the small place just below her throat. It's gone, she said. What's gone? Kai asked, reaching for her own throat, trying to figure out what was missing on Lara was missing on her too. Trying to figure out if what was missing on Lara was missing on her too. Latif, it's gone. Our worst nightmare has to be that it's gone, Lara said, fairly audibly. What in the world is a Latif? Lara, I have no idea what you're talking about. Lara bristled. The necklace with the gray stone. Wasn't gray until I met you. Its official name, the original name of the talisman, is Latif. It's designed to keep peace during extraordinary times. It's a very long story, how I came to have it. The fact it's gone, war is imminent. She looked devastated. She was holding the base of her throat as though she was trying to hold her neck up. Her eyes would tear up, and then she became and then became visibly dry, as though Lara were fighting with the idea of crying. After a few beats, she shook her head, like she was waking herself up. It will serve us better to figure out what else is missing. Are you two still wearing your mala? She asked, matter of fact. Kai stared at Lara for a minute, trying to make sense of her aunt's strange reaction before she checked her neck. She didn't actually have to. She could feel the weight of the beads on the back of her neck, plus the weight of the stone laying heavy on her solar plexus. She would have known if it was missing because she would probably have been able to float. She pulled it out of her shirt just so Lara and Jasperai could see with her own eyes. The purple crystal glistened even brighter with the backdrop of the sparkly restaurant behind it. I have mine. See? Kai said. Put it away, Lara said, looking around. Fine, Kai said, tucking the mala back in her shirt. She looked at Jasperai expectantly. Where's yours? She asked. He said nothing. He only shook his head. You don't have it? I do not, but it is safe. Far out of the clutches of that teller, he said. I will return it to you once we have finished our business here. What do you mean, return it to me? You don't wear it every day? Aren't our twin malas the equivalent of our wedding rings? Isn't that what we decided? I do not wish to discuss this presently. We have larger issues than my wearing the twin to your mala. It is your mala. I was merely keeping it warm for you, he said. Why would you say that? Because it is so. What concerns me now is Kai-Tu giving access to her body temple to that teller who obviously betrayed us. Wait, why do you think Ime betrayed us? Is it not obvious? She tricked us. The reason I was so comfortable with the teller was, as she mentioned, she came through Kai-Tu whence you were having your premonition about when the tree will be planted. She gave me wise counsel through Kai-Tu, and I heeded it. I thought she was present to be helpful. She'd not reveal herself to me in the sachet room. I thought she was any other patient. I thought she was Mrs. Jackson. I had no reason to believe otherwise. Her energy was very human to me. How I could have missed her disguise, I do not know, Kai. I am saddened by such a betrayal. I am concerned that only you saw through it. There's a lot to unpack. Oh, there's a lot in there to unpack. You were tricked, but not necessarily betrayed. At least, not in the way you may be thinking, Kai said, trying to sound calm. Meanwhile, I'm going to get my child. She said the words singularly with movements that included standing up and walking 5 paces toward the door. You will not need to go get her, Jasperai said, jumping up and agilely intercepting her. She is on her way here as we speak these words. How? We don't even remember how we got here. How can you be sure she's safe or not being held consciousness hostage by Ime? I mean, since she betrayed us. We also have access to each other's thoughts. You are the only mind we don't have access to in our tribe, Lara said pointedly. She is on her way here. She has also been updated on events. She is safe and in the best of hands. The best of hands are mine. Whose other hands are we talking about here? Genevieve and Moreau, Lara said. Kai took a few beats to process. Genevieve was suspect, if only because she still didn't know exactly what she was. She knew she wasn't Styi. Her skin was too pale. She couldn't have been Umshai because they all had a methodical, monk-like blandness to them, plus her age. Genevieve was something else altogether, but she just didn't know what. Are you sure you can trust her? Kai asked, already knowing how her 2 companions would answer. Without reservation, Lara said. Her words weren't the least bit comforting under the circumstances, but Kai was out of options. Her utter inability to process all that happened made it so. And what about this Moreau person? Who is that? Lara smiled meekly. Oh, you've met him. He's a part of our tribe. I'm pretty sure I would remember meeting somebody with a name that sounds an awful like... Oh. Uncle Moreau is alive? Kai said. Of course, you saved him, Lara said. I did no such thing. I don't even know that man. I only remember you not liking me too much when I brought him up before my wedding. Kai said, only half talking to Lara. She was looking at Jasper, who had occupied his attention in the direction of his hands, which were holding the glass tablet menu. I'm positive Moreau will catch you up. I'm positive Moreau will catch you up presently. They're here, Lara said. Mommy! Kai-Tu said as she ran to her from the door and plopped herself in Kai's lap. Genevieve was walking just behind her. Kai gave her a warm smile while mouthing the words, "Thank you," before planting her daughter with so many kisses. Parts of her face had peachy blotches. I'm so glad you're okay. No more letting strange, wise people in your brain. They're not all nice. What do you mean, Mommy? Ime didn't do this. How do you know that, honey? Because Aunt Lara's necklace was missing before Ime came to visit them. Kai looked up at Lara, who looked even more stunned than she had earlier. She still had her hand at the base of her throat. If Ime told you that, she could be lying. She may not be an honest person, Kai said practically. Ime writes the stories down, Mommy. She doesn't make them up. I won't argue with you about it, sweetie, because we truly aren't clear about what's happening anyway. For now, just be extra careful about who you let in when you channel people. We don't want to take any chances. I want you to be safe. Please, will you try to understand what I'm asking you? I don't want anything bad to happen to you. There is no bad or good, Mommy. Just what is. I understand what you're saying, though. I'll use the best judgment I have, she said as sweetly as a 7-year-old could. Kai knew at that moment there wasn't anything she could do to protect her daughter, which made her frown. Kai-Tu had her own instructions, and most of them required little, if any, input from her, which made her frown harder. She was so distracted with her feelings. While processing the unique circumstances surrounding her extraordinary worry for her child, she had noticed the tall, muscular, and gorgeous brown-skinned man with salt and pepper hair walking toward their table. His most distinctive feature, besides the fact that he was fine beyond words and utterly stye in every physical way, was the black star tattoo peeking out from his shirt collar. When he stopped at their table, Kai's mouth dropped so hard she put her hand over her mouth to physically shut it. There you are. Kai, I'd like you to meet my husband, and obviously Darren's father, your uncle, Dr. Moreau Masterson, Lara said. Wow. So that is chapter 14. And I would like to say any questions, but that's pretty self-explanatory. So we remember from yesterday that there was some drama. Ime's dress, it explained it. Ime's dress, and they ended up there. Lara's necklace goes missing. Everybody, of course, is going to assume it's the new person. But Kai-Tu has that all figured out. So we'll move on to chapter 15. And just so that you know, Star Tattoo, we've been over this somewhere before. So put the clues to the puzzle together, my people. This is a murder. It's not a murder mystery. This is a life mystery. Okay, chapter 15, The Man with the Star Tattoo. Each color lives by its mysterious life. Wasily Kandinsky. It's great to finally meet you, Kai. Your daughter is a joy. I'm certain she takes after her mother in most ways, Moreau said. In most ways, just not the being a joy part, Kai said blandly, because being a smartass was the only thing she had at the moment to hold on to. She was still trying to capture the essence of composure, which was failing her completely. It wasn't that Lara's husband was so fine, which he was. It was that she knew him from somewhere, and she couldn't place where. She felt it in her bones that they had met before, under really unusual circumstances. Considering this was the only time she even knew for sure that Lara's husband was actually alive, it was an odd feeling to have. Lovianhal, the restaurant host interrupted energetically. Levian Osho, everyone excluding Kai, said exuberantly as Moreau took his seat next to Lara, just across from Kai, Jasperai, and Kai too, which meant Kai had to actively make sure she wasn't staring at him, thus making lunch even more awkward than it already was to start. The host then turned to Kai specifically and gave her an extra deep bow. Lovianhal, Kairu, it is an honor to be in your presence. I am Gabe, he said with a distinctly... Oh, I didn't do that right, didn't I? Lovianhal, Kairu, it is an honor to be in your presence. I am Gabe, he said with a distinctly French accent that Kai thought curious. She looked over at Genevieve, who was sitting on the opposite side of Lara. Gabe stayed in his bow for more than a few beats, if only because Kai hadn't acknowledged him. It wasn't until Jasperai took her hand in such a way that Kai jumped from her trance of staring at Jen that she realized what was happening. Osho Levian Osho, she said, softly bowing her head. You honor me, Gabe, is it? It is, he said, standing himself straight. How would you know me as Kairu? I've never been here before. Lara looked mortified. Moreau laughed under his breath. Gabe didn't skip a beat. One cannot not know the unique signature of your presence, Kairu. I have to do the accent. One cannot not know the unique signature of your presence, Kairu. It was the same with your mother. I will presume it shall be for your daughter here, he said, acknowledging Kaitu with a bow. She smiled broadly and nodded her head in return. Kai was agitated. She hated that every answered question came with more questions. Sometimes the answers weren't even answers. Have you decided upon which meal you would like to share? Gabe asked, looking specifically at Kai. It made Kai want to sink deeply into her chair. Who was this dude? Lara spoke for the table to Gabe in Tustai. She ordered a whole bunch of stuff Kai had never heard of and was only passively listening to. She had eaten Stai food before. There was nothing she hadn't liked, so she wasn't worried. Excellent choices all, Gabe said. Thank you for serving us. You are appreciated abundantly, Lara said. The pleasure is mine, Gabe said, and then disappeared. Literally. Where'd he go? Kai asked, shaking herself back to reality. Who knows? Probably to bring us delicious morsels that we will enjoy momentarily. No worries, okay, Kai? Okay? Lara said, giving Kai her knowing smile. But Kai noticed that Lara was still holding on to the base of her throat. She looked around the restaurant some more. There was something about it that seemed odd to her, like it was real, but not real. It didn't feel like a dream exactly, but then again, neither did her Yayi. But it did feel staged. What is this place? Where did it even come from? How are all of these Stai and whatever Gabe is here? You like to cut to the chase, don't you? Moreau said. I actually just don't like being blindsided. I like it when my family knows something important and tells me about it prior to throwing me in the fire, so to speak. This place doesn't feel right, Kai said. What could feel wrong about it? Have you not seen the glorious garden just beside us? It is poetry of the Stai variety, is it not? Jasperai said. Kai turned her head only slightly to notice how gorgeous the garden truly was. It reminded her of the garden just outside of their Hayu in Tustai. It smelled heavenly. But it made her curious about how all those Tustai flowers and plants had come to be on Earth, particularly in this restaurant. Had they used flowers from their pyramid garden? She was also curious about how so many Stai that hadn't walked through the red door were able to be on the Earth plane. And what were Genevieve and Gabe? Just because you never knew a thing existed doesn't mean it wasn't here, Lara said. Am I asking the wrong question here? How long has this whole community of Stai been here? Always? Why am I just hearing about it now? You aren't asking the wrong questions, but you aren't asking what you truly want to know, Moreau said. Kai wanted to slap him. She absolutely hated the style way of making you guess which questions to ask to get the straightforward answers they know you want. She sighed. We're just meeting, dear uncle. I totally don't want to get off on a rocky start with you, but in case you didn't get the memo about me, I've not been known to have much patience. If I ask a question and somebody knows the answer, I'd like the answer. I don't like to guess which question I need to ask and how perfectly to phrase it to get the information I know everybody at this table has. It's really simple. I ask, you answer. We aren't in two-sty. I'm not collecting talents. I want to know how a style restaurant exists on a planet that's not supposed to have any style but the ones I came back here with, Kai said, tempering her temper. Your reputation precedes you, I assure you. I just wonder if you ever considered that the answer to your question is not nearly as cut and dry as you would like to believe. What if this place exists as somewhat of a portal between worlds that we only knew could happen since you all came back from your time at Two-Sty? Moreau said. Well, if that was possible, you can say that. Of course, I never considered that possibility, which is why I asked what this is. I didn't ask who built it. Are we in a space between Earth and Two-Sty? Not exactly, Laura said. Kai's patience almost clicked off all the way off as she rolled her eyes. Come on, guys. Can you just tell me what's going on, please? Why are you being so difficult about this simple thing? I hate it when I ask you questions and I just have more questions. Damn. Moreau looked at Lara, who looked over at Jasperi, but none of them said a thing. Kai, exasperated, made an effort to dramatically jump up from the table with Kai too and storm out. Instead, she banged her knee hard on the crystal table, which caused her to bend over in extraordinary pain, which caused her to bump her head hard. Before she knew what happened, she was flat on her back in a dizzy haze. Everyone in the restaurant rushed to her aid, but Kai was content laying there on the floor. It felt like soft moss on her back. When she finally decided she wanted to open her eyes, she noticed that the ceiling of the restaurant was really tall, unrealistically so. Everything about it screamed, not of this world. Like the ceiling was there, but it really wasn't. Like she was in a dream, but wide awake in it. She blinked, trying to see if anything would change. Nothing changed, but she did notice the ceiling started to ripple, like a portal. She thought that if she could reach up and touch it, she could go through. She blinked again and the ripples were still there. It did cross her mind that maybe she had bumped her head harder than she wanted to admit, but it didn't matter. The portal on the ceiling of Le Jardin en Vie was calling her, and she wanted to see where it took her. She could see and feel all the beings around her talking to her and shaking her. She knew they were there, but she didn't care. She was awake. She just wanted to be anywhere else besides where she was at the moment. It was then that a small hand appeared through the ripples in the ceiling. The more the hand reached down, the more the ceiling lowered itself. When the ceiling was low enough for Kai to touch the tiny hand, she was briskly swept up and pulled into the portal with a slurp and a pop. And so it begins. So that's chapter 15. So we know Kai is no longer with her family. So it's getting deep. So it started. Remember that the last chapter, Ime told Kai that she was going to face herself, and so of course we're all assuming that face herself meant that she was going to, see something that she didn't want to see, that she's going to see her past or something like that. It turns out they ended up in a restaurant. So what is so special and important about this restaurant? I guess we'll find out tomorrow. Do you guys have any questions? Any questions for my new people? Hi, Sean. Hi, Raheem. Hi, Gilbert. Hi, Ashley. Hi, Steve. Hola. Late but present. Welcome. Do you guys have any questions? Anyone? At this point, it's pretty straightforward. Like, it's full speed ahead. I think I said that before. Forgive me, I'm not all here. Hey you, hi Sign, welcome. We done now, boo. It's 11:41. We in questions now. So of course you guys that came late or have no idea what's going on, they're looking at me like, what the hell? We're reading chapters of my book 3. That's very good. Oh, thank you. We're reading chapters of my book 3, Light of the War, and we're on chapter 16. And so if you guys want to catch up, the other chapters are on my Stellar Trilogy series page. So you're welcome to go and catch up with those. It's good. It's too far along. Like, I can't really catch you up now. Like, you're gonna have to do it, do a binge watch. Like you do Netflix and chill. This is Stellar Trilogy and chill. And I don't really have any notes for this because we're in new territory. I will say that we had a couple clues in these chapters. One of the clues came up was Kai's uncle Moreau. We've met Moreau already, but we don't know that we've met Moreau already. And we met Moreau in this book, and we met Moreau in book 2. And we're gonna get to that. But I want you to keep in mind, like, there was a major clue that just happened. He had a star tattoo on his neck. And where have we heard that before? And then the other clue was Ime said the very specific words, "You are going to face yourself." So apparently, the reason why it feels otherworldly, there's a reason for it. So I think those are the only 2 major clues that I want you to keep in mind. Let me see what's happening. I will view the recording. I missed it. Okay. Where can I catch up with this chapter? After we're finished with this, because we're going to get off in a few minutes, you can just watch it back from the beginning. I post these. And on my, the easiest way to go back is go to the Stellar Trilogy series, that page. It's on this Facebook page somewhere. And you can just watch from the beginning. Prologue. It starts with prologue, and then they're each labeled. Each of the videos are labeled, and you can start from the beginning and catch up to where we are. Oh, and if you want to read the book, but this book 3 is being relaunched on this month on the 21st. So I would wait on that. But books 1 and 2 are at my on my website, envymckee.com. Well, and they're also being sold at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. So if you want signed copies, go to my website. If you want a digital copy, or you want just to get it from Amazon or Barnes & Noble, you can go there too. It's called the Stellar Trilogy. This is book 3, Light of the War. But I will wait on that because the 21st is it's in 2 weeks or something like that. Yeah. Any more questions about the book? Hi, Corey. Welcome. Okay. Well, I know that there's a delay with this, and so a lot of times I'll see the questions after I've already signed off, and I apologize for that. And then sometimes I won't see the questions until like 1,000 minutes later after we're on to something else. So I'm trying to give it some time. I don't understand what's going with this Facebook interface, but we're just gonna ride out. Yes. Well, I appreciate you guys so much. You guys are here every single day at 11:11. It is so dope. And we've gotten really far. We're on chapter 16 tomorrow. And let me tell you something. You want to go on an emotional roller coaster? We're about to go there. So good. I'm glad you guys are enjoying Soul-Fi. I'm glad you're enjoying the Stellar Trilogy. I'm glad you're taking this journey. And remember, tomorrow at 11:11 a.m., we're doing Stop, Drop, and Meditate again every day this month. And then, of course, we'll be back here at 11:11 p.m. for another episode of Star People Storytime. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah? Did you? Yes, I read. It's 11:46, Corey. What you think this is? Some crayons? We've read 2 chapters, Corey. 2 chapters. Chapters 14 and 15. So what I'm going to do for all you late people is I'm going to get off and post this so that you guys can go back and you guys can go back and watch the video. And then if you have questions, because I can see the questions after the fact, so if you have questions, you can just type them and then I'll just answer them. I'll be up for a little while longer. Okay, so we're gonna end reread. I'm not no. No. 11:11 means what, Corey? What does 11:11 mean? What does it mean? It means 11:11. So if you want to hear the story from the chapter from the beginning, guess what you're gonna do? Guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna be here at 11:11. And I even give people like till 11:17 or 11:20 before I even start reading. Okay? So no. Okay, so I'm getting off and I'm gonna post this right away so you guys can go back and hear from the beginning. And welcome all my new folks. Welcome to the journey of the Stellar Trilogy. I will see you guys tomorrow. Catch up. Go to my my Facebook page, the Facebook page that says the Stellar Trilogy series, to catch up. Start with prologue. Get all the clues. This is a mystery. It's not, but it is. It is. It's a puzzle. And you figure that out. And it's all of it. And so some of y'all, you're going to get so like, I don't know what we're going to do once the end of this month happens. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I've committed to the entire month of August. So I don't know what's going to happen when this month ends. Like, some of y'all going to be like crackheads, like, you can't stop. You got to finish. But remember, there are so many parts to this puzzle, and book 1 and book 2 are a part of those parts. And in November, I start writing book 4. So I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to maintain this Star People story time and have all of this 1,000 things going on. So there's that. But we're going to stay in the moment and not worry about that for right now. Right now, we're having an awesome time. 11:11 a.m. Remember meditation. 11:11 p.m. Star People story time. I'm getting off this so you guys can go back to the beginning and read. You can post your questions after the fact in real time as you have them. As the video's playing, you can post your questions in real time and I will answer them, when I see them. Okay? Flat out. All right, Star People. I love you madly. Lovianhal.